Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. This is Christopher Moldong. Today I'm going to do a movie review for King Arthur Legend of the Sword. Be sure to also check out my manga review for Dawn of the Arcana, volumes 4 to 6, and my reading for Homesickness, pages 7 to 10. Next time I'll have a manga review for Dawn of the Arcana, volumes 7 to 9, and a reading of Homesickness, pages 11 to 15. In a couple weeks, I will review Wonder Woman, the movie as well. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismondon.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. Also, for $2.99, you can buy my short story collection, a collection of 10 short stories into horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. So, the way that this is going to work is that I will give a recap of the whole movie. So, be warned, there will have spoilers. I'm just going to pretty much spoil the whole movie. And after I give out this recap, I will give my thoughts on the movie, the characters, whatnot, and just my overall grade of this movie. So let's begin the movie review for King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. So Mordred, a corrupt sorcerer, and his armies lay siege to Camelot, and they want to establish dominance of mages over mankind. They're magic wielders. So Uther Pendragon, the king of the Britons, infiltrates Mordred's lair and kills him, beheads him actually, and it also destroys his forces and saves Camelot. Camelot's actually being attacked by a bunch of giant elephants, actually. It looks pretty cool. So later that evening, Uther's brother Vortigern, who really wants the throne, he really wants to take the throne, he orchestrates a coup and sacrifices his wife Elsa to sea witches in order to summon a demon knight. And that demon knight kills Uther's wife and slays Uther in combat. So the only survivor is Uther's son, Arthur, who drifts away in a boat and eventually winds up in Londinium. And he's found and raised by prostitutes. They're actually the ones that name him Arthur. So Arthur grows up, he becomes a skilled fighter, and this kind of like a street guy, street kid, along with his friends Rubio, Tristan, and Percival. They confront a group of Vikings who mistreated one of the prostitutes, and they force them to pay the prostitute a year's wages for their behavior. Afterwards, the brothel is raided by the Blacklegs, who are pretty much Vortigern's group of soldiers, his minions pretty much. And Arthur learns that the Vikings were guests of the king, and attacking them is a crime against the king. Arthur tries to escape the city, but he's caught and put on a ship with hundreds of other men. He learns that a mysterious sword has appeared near Vortigern's castle, and the Blacklegs have been forcing all men around Arthur's age to try and pull it from the surrounding stone. Arthur goes there, he tries to pull it, and he pulls the sword out and quickly faints from its power. Vortigern meets with him in the dungeon, reveals his true lineage as well. At the same time, a woman who identifies herself as like an acolyte or like a student of Merlin meets with Uther's former general, Sir Bedivere. At Arthur's execution, the mage uses her magic to stage a diversion while Bedivere's men rescue Arthur. The mage doesn't have a name. She's just referred to as the mage. So he gets taken to their hideout, and Arthur just initially refuses to help them. but he collapses once again when he tries to wield the sword. Pretty much when he grabs it with one hand, it's fine, but once he grabs it with two hands, the power starts like consuming. Um, Suspecting that he lacks the willpower to control it, the mage persuades Bedivere to take Arthur to the Blacklands, um, which is this realm where Merlin destroyed Mordred's tower in defiance of his evil. It's revealed that Vortigern was responsible for persuading Mordred to rebel against humanity because he was jealous about Uther's power. Arthur restores the sword's magic and returns to uh, Londinium, determined to destroy Vortigern for his crimes. So, together with his friends and Bedivere's men, Arthur stages a series of ambushes and attacks to force Vortigern out of hiding. Uh, Vortigern knows that his maid is actually a spy for Bedivere, and he announces plans to meet with his barons in Londinium, but he sends a body double in his place. The Arthur and his buddies realize that it's a double, or but they attack anyways, which was pretty much all part of the plan. In the process, one of them is captured, while Rubio is severely wounded and left behind. Uh, the others take refuge in a fighter school run by Arthur's mentor, George. He's like this kung fu master. But the Blacklegs kind of come into the school and just overtake them. Arthur sees the mage being held at knife point, and he's overcome by rage and unleashes Excalibur's magic, and he single-handedly kills all the enemies. And as night falls and riots break out all over Londinium, the rebels take shelter in a safe house, and they're soon joined by Rubio and his son Blue. However, the Blacklegs commander Jartan has been following Rubio the whole time, and he and Vortigern interrogate him for information. Arthur saves Blue, but unfortunately, Blue's father dies, and Blue actually sees it. So afterwards, Arthur throws the sword into a lake and runs into the forest. He stops at a small marsh, but the Lady of the Lake pulls him into a realm and shows him a vision of the future, where England has been just ruined and destroyed by Vortigern's rule, and the people left to suffer. Arthur then reunites with Bedivere, George, and Percival. When they return to the rebel hideout, however, they discover all of their allies dead. Vortigern found them thanks to information provided by the captured rebel. They encounter Jartan, who delivers a message from the king that if Arthur does not surrender himself by nightfall, both the mage and Blue will die. They pretty much captured the two. Bedivere is able to get the mage released in exchange for Arthur surrendering both himself and the sword. So, Vortigern, they're in the castle now, or tower, and they meet up with Arthur. Confronts Vortigern. Vortigern's about to kill him with Excalibur, but a giant snake controlled by the mage attacks and just kills Jartan and his men. The others free Vortigern's prisoners and lead them in a revolt against the Blacklegs. So, Vortigern, he sacrifices his daughter and is transformed into the Demon Knight and confronts Arthur in a separate dimension. Arthur loses first time out, but just as he's about to pretty much get defeated, he witnesses a flashback of the moment his father was struck down, and it's revealed that his father turned his own body to stone to prevent Vortigern from seizing the sword. Arthur gets the sword before it impales Uther in the flashback, and Uther gives him the right to wield it. Excuse me. Then Arthur destroys Vortigern's weapon and kills Vortigern. So, in the aftermath, Arthur's Arthur knights George and Percival and begins building a round table for them to meet at. He also dissolves Vortigern's pact with the Vikings and declares that they must respect England's power if they wish to avoid war. Blue and the prostitutes arrive with the crown of Uther, which Arthur accepts. He then addresses a new subject, holding the sword pretty much in the air. The initial thoughts about this movie, I'm just gonna grade it. The first thing I'm gonna do is grade it. I do not recommend watching this movie. I'm not gonna lie. um, there's a lot of problems with this movie. I will say it's a relatively fun action movie, but it is so frantic that sometimes you just kind of get lost with what's happening. Uh, it's what happens is Arthur or someone will start talking and they'll show a flashback or they'll show like a clip of the future and as dialogue from the present is going and they keep doing that. Um, there isn't any character development whatsoever. I was really disappointed at this because they actually had a lot of characters. They had the mage, they had the kung fu master, Vortigern, Arthur. Arthur gets some character development, but not a lot. They'll mention things like one guy who's really good with the bow and arrow, and I forgot his name. And this was another problem with this movie. There's a lot of characters, and I don't remember their names. I only know, I was only able to recap him because, like, it was written down for me. But, like, as I was watching the movie, more than half the characters, I didn't even know their names because they just mentioned them. There's one time he's gonna shoot this one captain, I think, and apparently the archer has like a backstory with the captain, and they don't explain the backstory whatsoever. They just like, oh yeah, they just mentioned, oh yeah, he has some backstory with this guy, and he wants to shoot him anyways. Okay, like, who are you? you know, who is this archer? It's just one of these things where, like I said, no character development, no characterization. The only person that probably gets some character development is Arthur himself. Uh, yeah, things are just happening like at a mile a minute. You have to like keep. There's this like idea of like keeping up with what's going on constantly, but I feel that it really actually just kills the story. Um, like I said, Arthur gets some development in the sense that he gets conflicted about things, but it just happens so fast where it's like, oh, this guy died. I'm gonna throw this thing in the lake. Then I'm gonna march. Then I'm gonna see a vision. Then it's like, you know, I I don't know why they went with that style, but like you don't get any, nothing gets room to breathe. Because of this lack of character development too, you see characters like Blue's father die, or Vortigern's daughter, Vortigern killing his own daughter, and I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, I didn't care, because these characters just were not developed. Like, Vortigern kills his daughter, and like, oh wow, he's so evil. It's like he killed his own daughter. I do not care about that. You have given me no reason to care about the daughter because everything's so frenetic and so frantic and hectic. Um, and because of that, none of the characters have any development. You have given me no reason to care about the characters, save for maybe Arthur. Um, yeah, you know, I'm gonna say this. I think, King Arthur. There's a lot to the legend of King Arthur. I have seen Excalibur. I have read about it. I've watched, his first night, Merlin, King Arthur with Clive Owen, movie wise, just media wise, stories and whatnot. I mean, one of my favorite stories of the King Arthur legend is like uh, where they fight the Green Knight and Lancelot beats him. And so there's so much with this legend. It's Arthur, Excalibur, Camelot, Guinevere, Merlin, Lancelot, Uther Pendragon, Morgana, uh, the Round Table, so on and so on and so on. And a lot of people who've done King Arthur have done it well. There's even cartoons, that have done it well. Prince Valiant, I thought that did, King Arthur and whatnot very well. And then there's like King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, which honestly was an insult to like the King Arthur legend, in my opinion. This one, you know, you, I feel that anyone can make the Arthur legend in a sense like how they see fit. In a sense, it doesn't mean they'll do it good, but it's a legend. You can kind of turn it around and do different things with it. So like King Arthur as this like streetwise person raised by prostitutes in a brothel. Okay, hey, you know what? Cool. It doesn't have to be Sword into Stone. I like Disney Sword into Stone or something. Um, or Excalibur, where he's pretty much the squire. Uh, hey, why not let him be this streetwise, the streetwise King Arthur, not like noble King Arthur? Hey, that's cool. I didn't have a problem with that per se, but once again, pacing, frantic pace, the fact that so much is going on at once, nothing gets time to breathe. I mean, they didn't really do much with it. I mean, he was a bit like they show him being a bit streetwise, where it's like, oh, we're gonna destroy these barges, we're gonna do this, and, and you'll see scenes like that where like they'll make this big plan to do this, to do that, to do that, and they'll just have these like, and he's narrating what's going on, and they'll show what happens in the future, and these clips instead of like drawing out the plan. It's just like these short clips that show the plan in action. And it's like, okay, you're not drawing out the plan. It doesn't seem so clever when all you're showing is like a clip of like how to destroy a barge. It's like, okay, like, why don't you show me them destroying the barges, or setting, like really draw this out, setting fire to this, or this area or whatnot. Um, so once again, like it just they had some things in place that like, okay, I can buy into this, but the way it was presented, it just, you didn't give it any room to breathe. They introduced Vortigern. Um, he's just an evil guy, and there wasn't really much to him. He's just this evil guy, willing to kill his wife, willing to kill his daughter. Um, you know, at the very end, he becomes this demon knight, that Arthur fights. When Arthur fights using Excalibur, being able to use its power, I mean, it's virtually like King Arthur on steroids. I don't know how else to say it. It's like he can like chop through guys, his bodies with the sword. But when you see like Uther, his dad, use it, he's just really skilled, and the sword is more just an extension of him, of like Uther's abilities. It just magnifies his abilities that much more. And here, when Arthur uses it, it's just straight up like he's on steroids pretty much. I don't know how else to say it. It's not like I, th- I I don't know. It just didn't seem that necessary. They could have just made it like they've kind of established that Arthur's a good fighter because he learned from George, a kung fu master. He's a street kid and whatnot. But it's like, the sword just made him like too powerful in a sense where it's just like, okay, this is like, he made him beyond, and it just, it kind of falls flat. It's like it doesn't really show his abilities per se. It just, the sword is magnifying him so much. Like I said, it's, he's more or less on steroids, you know. They had a maid. She was an okay character. I kind of thought that there was like a love story going on between her and Arthur. By the end of the movie, though, she just kind of leaves. Um, I was kind of think that maybe, hey, she's Guinevere or something like that, and I would have been, hey, that's cool, you know. I'm just kind of surprised they didn't do more with that. Um, with the mage here, she didn't even get a name. She's just the mage, and this also goes to another problem. It's like they mentioned Merlin, but they never. I think they briefly showed Merlin, like from the back, his back, but he's not like he's there in like one flashback. You know, it's like, why didn't you have Merlin? I don't understand. I get changing. You have this source material. I mean, you can use the characters and whatnot. Like, I just don't understand. And hey, if you want to change the source material a bit here and there, it's fine. But like, what was wrong just having Merlin there? Like, why did you have to have this mage, this acolyte of Merlin? Like, what difference does it make? It doesn't make a difference. They introduced this tower. That's a new thing. They already have Camelot, but they introduced this like giant tower. It's like this, pretty much like the Tower of Babel. Of Babel, or I can't pronounce for some reason. After it reaches a certain point, then like Vortigern will get like this crazy power or something like that. I forgot what happened. Um, it looked cool. Like that's all I can say, but it was just kind of like, it's just kind of there, to look cool. I guess I don't I can't really say much about it. It wasn't like special or anything like that. They could have done the same thing that they're doing without the tower, and would have been fine. It's just kind of there to look cool, and I think that was the biggest problem with this whole movie in general, is that it was all style and there's absolutely no substance. Like, it's hard to follow the story. None of the characters are developed. Um, Things move so fast that you know that things that are supposed to be clever or witty get kind of overlooked because it's just happening like a mile a minute, or whatever. You just don't care about some of these people. Blue's dad, I liked Blue. He's just the, but he's the son of Arthur's buddy. It's like, okay, you're Arthur's buddy. Like, do I have to care about you? I don't even remember his name, honestly. Like, or as I was watching the movie, I don't actually remember like Blue's dad's name. Like, that's the thing. That all these characters, like, who are you? You know. Um. So overall, I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I was looking. I expected it to be stylized action, and they had that. Um, the elephants in the beginning were cool. It was really pretty to look at. Cinematography wise, I can't put that down because the cinematography was great. Um, they'd show cities, landscapes and whatnot. It was great. That was some great stuff. The town, Londinium, and all that. Camelot, uh, great. It looked nice. The armor was cool looking. Swords were cool looking. You know, but yeah, I don't know what. I just don't know why they went with this particular direction. It just seemed like, yeah, there's pretty much just no development as far as story or character goes, and that was pretty much my biggest gripe with the movie. So that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. Thank you for listening to this movie review. Next time, I will review Dawn of the Arcana, Volume 7 to 9, have a story reading of Homesickness, pages 11 to 15, and in a couple weeks, we'll have a movie review for Wonder Woman. Thank you, and until next time.